What the heck is a Juno reed? Do you know? They've been around for a little while. Did you know that they were a Vandoren product? I did, but not everybody knew. Here's why not everybody knew. It's because Vandoren, for some reason, didn't put their logo on the box. I'm not sure why, but they have now decided it's time to unveil with 100% certainty that this is indeed a Vandoren product. In my childhood, the only real choice we had for a low-price reed was a Rico Orange Box. I'm not going to talk too much about Rico Orange Box reeds. I think we all are familiar with them. What I want to talk about is this reed. I had never actually played one. I want to also express that I had never played one of these Juno reeds up until today. And I thought today would be a nice time to talk about them, and I was inspired to do so because of this rebranding. I don't think the product is actually any different than it was before. I think it's just now that Vandoren has decided to make it 100% clear that this is indeed a Vandoren product. Who is it for? Well, it is for beginning players. Essentially, the important part about that is that they come in at a lower price point. They come in competitively priced to the Orange Box reeds from Rico. It was a different time. Back in the 1980s, everybody went from Rico Orange Box to Vandoren reeds. Once you got to like a number 3, everybody would just switch to Vandoren reeds. In my little circle, I'm not talking about for the entire world, nor am I really trying to talk about any other reed company. I don't mean to say or do anything. But Rico, to my knowledge, wasn't producing a reed at that point in time, under the Rico name anyway, that was a more professional style of reed. They had something called a Rico Royal, which I think still exists. I do remember playing those with the little stickers on them. But everybody switched to Vandoren. But now Vandoren is offering a way to stay within the same brand family from cradle to grave. And I think that that's a very interesting thing. And I'm glad that they've done this because that was something that was missing from their product line for a long time. These reeds come in at about, I'm just ballparking the prices, I believe that I am right based on what I just saw on Amazon, about $23 a box. My first question is, what constitutes a beginner reed? And I think the answer really is they can be produced at a price point that is lower, right? Because everybody knows, even the ones that are doing it, ages 5th grade to 12th grade, you break a lot of reeds. And expensive reeds are expensive reeds. And this really allows for school districts and schools to purchase a Vandoren product at a lower price, which I think is a really, really wonderful thing. The next question comes to why hasn't Vandoren done this previously? And my understanding, I don't want to speak for the company, but I think generally speaking, I can sort of characterize this. I think that from what I know, from what I've read, from the people that I've spoken to at Vandoren, their idea was always, let's create a reed that sounds like we want it to sound, and the price is the price. The price wasn't going to dictate the product that they were making. And I think that that's an important thing to keep in mind, because it's within that framework that they've created the Juno reed. I think they did it 10 years ago, but I think now that they've stamped their name on it, we can say it is Vandoren. So with that in mind, my first question is, why is this cheaper? And the answer is that the process by which this cut is made is simpler than the Blue Box, the V12, the 56, the 21. So it's a simpler reed for them to make. And my understanding is it's made from the same cane, but it is cheaper to make, and then they offer that discount. It's not even really a discount, but they're not upcharging to try and get more money. They're just selling the reed in a way that kids can have this Vandoren product from day one. Let's check it out. I've got one on my clarinet now. Now, I do want to say before I play this, I considered not playing in this video. I changed my mind because it seems a little bit unfair to not demonstrate the product in a video where I'm talking about the product. Here's the challenge for me. I've got a 2.5 Juno here. I don't play anything close to that strength of reed. So I'm not going to sound like me, but I do want to demonstrate what I believe this reed has, and I think you'll be able to hear it in what I'm doing, even though I'm not representing this as my best clarinet sound. The thing I want to say right off the bat is that the numbering system of these doesn't line up with the resistance of other reeds, even within the Vandoren family. These run a little softer, less resistant. So this is a 2.5. It plays like a 2. And I want you to keep that in mind as you are considering these reeds. If you are in charge of a school or a school district, or you have a say in that these reeds, but I would say people should start off on a 2.5. A kid should start off on a 2.5. I think that's important to know. All right, so let's hear how it sounds. Okay, so I think if a fifth grader sounded like that, it would be pretty good. I'm not so happy for me, but again, I'm just going to keep saying that because I'm me and I'm thinking about myself. But what I get in this reed is a reed that is very even right out of the box. I've done nothing to this reed. It has a very consistent sound through the registers. When I do the right thing with my mouth, it gives me the right feedback. And I think that's probably the most important part of getting someone started on the clarinet, is that habits that they create from day one are the habits that they play with their entire life. And it really does put a limiter, or takes away the limiter for the amount of success a student can have, which is a really important thing for all the students because, it's fun to sound good, right? But also for a student that really grabs a hold of the clarinet and loves it, those habits can be very difficult to break if they're bad in the beginning. So on that front, this reed is really, it's good. I mean, all the registers sound pretty even. It's got a really fast response to it. It sounds very bright to my ears. I'm not sure how it's going to sound on the recording. But I do think any number 2 reed that I have on my mouthpiece and my setup, because I didn't change anything for this other than the reed, is going to sound pretty bright. So, but it responds so well. I mean, in my setup, the pitch is going to get real weird up in the altissimo, which it did when I played that scale. But I think if anyone is going up to a high F, they're not going to be playing on what is essentially a number 2 reed, even though this one is number 2.5, right? They're going to be up much more in the resistance, and they're probably going to have moved on to a more expensive reed. Because if you're going up to high F, you've committed to the clarinet in a pretty serious way, particularly as a younger student. So that judgment on this reed, I think, is pretty irrelevant in this particular instance. But the notes a student's going to play, they all have a pretty even resistance. They sound the same. The response is fast, and this is a well constructed and a well thought out reed at a very, very enticing price. And of course, the more reeds you buy in a box, and they do have 10 in a box, 25 in a box, maybe more than that, I'm not sure. The Juno reed is available for B-flat clarinet, E-flat clarinet, bass clarinet, also soprano, alto, tenor, and baritone saxophones. It's filling a gap that Vandoren had in its product line, and I'm sure glad that they decided to put their name on it. I'm sure that there is some reason, which I'm not privy to, why their name isn't on it already, or wasn't on it already. I'm glad it is. We need to know about this product, and we need to make sure that we strongly consider it as an option right from day one. Because I do think that the way this reed plays, the way this reed feels, the way it responds, all aligns with what comes next in their product line. And that's a very, very nice way to smooth out the transition from a younger beginning player to a more intermediate to advanced level player who is going to want to switch to different reeds and get what comes with those more expensive reeds. So that's pretty much what I got to say about this. Just keep in mind when you are considering these reeds, 2.5 is a 2. A 3 is another. They're about a half a strength off. If that's not even fair, because who's to say? But they're a half a strength different from a lot of reeds. They have a chart. I'll put it on the screen here, just to confirm that. It's really clear when I started playing this reed that this is not what I would think of as a 2.5, given what it is that feels like what I know about the clarinet. There is absolutely no issue with that for me other than you gotta know it. And that's it. All right. So if you are a band director, if you are a young player, consider these reeds. Check them out. I'll put links in the description. I'll see you next time.